Hello everyone and welcome back to Wardy's Waffle. Sunday morning, time of the week again for my main farm update. Got a few things going on this week. We haven't started harvesting yet, those of you know, but what I'm going to be doing this week is looking at the various crops we've got, particularly this field here. I'm looking at the haricot beans that hopefully will turn into baked beans. So just a quick look at that and the other crops we've got. Carrying on turfing around the new house. We get that finished, which is great despite the weather. Also, we have oilseed rape storage. We're still going with that. We're not too far off, one shed being full. The other shed's about half full. So we're going to take a look at that as well. And just a general look around the farm at one or two things we're doing, getting ready for harvest. But I'll just want to start off with this, with the haricot beans that we've got here. You can see behind me, looking really good where Nala is, particularly this part of the field. So I'll just turn the camera around so you can see a bit better what's going on. So this is the field. You can see they're looking really good here. But one thing you'll notice is they're very, very short. If you look, ideal to show that. Frankie, you're so useful in these situations. You can still see Frankie, so that just shows how high they are. And you can see from Nala as well, they're not even up to her tummy probably. But when you look at the beans, they're still coming into flower. So there's some flowers, which means there'll be some pods on there. But the first thing I think you'll notice is how low to the ground the pods are. We knew they were going to be like that. Frankie, come on that way. Frankie, we knew they were going to be like that. And this is why we need to get a special header. We need to get a McDon header on our combine, flexi header that will actually go onto the ground and get those pods. But you can see they are virtually touching the floor. But I just wanted to also highlight something else, that when you look at these pods, they're nearly like runner beans. They're not like field beans that we're growing another part of the farm. So these pods are quite flat, you can see there, and they have got beans inside. You can see the bulges on the pod there when you look along the side. But yeah, very, very much like runner beans. Some more there showing, you can see on the ground there. So they are very, very short. One other thing what we'll do, we'll just look into here. We've got various things going on here in this field. What we've got in this part is we've got some black oats planted with them, and these are on wide rows as well. The beans were planted with that Amazon precision planting drill, as you might remember if you watch these videos regularly. And these rows, they're 50 centimetres wide. They're looking really well actually. Now the idea with the black oats, to me they're not thick enough. The idea with the black oats was to sort of pull the beans up a little bit so the pods weren't quite so low to the floor. I don't think they've done that, possibly looking at that. They might have done there when you can see it growing amongst there. But I actually think the wider rows actually have made a difference. They've brought the beans up. And we've got the black oats there are between the rows. If we walk up here a little way, we should have the black oats are in the rows of beans. Yep, there we go. They're actually in the row to see if there's any difference there. So we're going to have a bit of evaluation of those, but you can see here the difference. And we've got to just wonder how we deal with these oats. They maybe ought to have been sprayed off sooner. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but it is an experiment and a trial to see the best way of growing these crops. So this particular part of the field, from memory, was planted about the middle of May, 19th of May. You can't plant these crops too early because of the frost, and this is one reason why they haven't been successful in this country. Now here, they were planted early. They were planted around the first week of May with a trials drill. And you can see these look really, really good, these do. I think they look fantastic, actually. And when you start to look underneath, if we can just see if there's any... Yeah, there's the pods. Now, they're held up a bit higher because the plant's thicker. And it's each plant's holding each one up. If you look there, they might say actually probably they're too thick because they might not have podded enough. I don't know, it's early days yet, but that's looking really well, this particular part of the field is. Then we'll go a bit up here, and that was planted even later towards the end of May. Just walking amongst these beans. Again, I'm not quite sure with these if that's a little bit of disease and also stress as well with all the rain we've had. Micronutrient shortage as well, possibly. But just looking into this area, those where Nala is were planted early May. These were planted towards the end of May, a lot later. And these are definitely not looking too good. Went in very dry, we had very little rain after these were planted, so these are definitely a lot worse than the other ones that were planted early May. So that's end of May planting with the trials drill, and this is early May. Huge difference. But I'm just going to grab one of these plants here and we'll take them across to our ordinary beans to compare. Take that one, there's some pods on there, so we're going to take this to look at the ordinary beans. I've just come to one of our fields that we're growing our ordinary beans, and this is a variety called Victus, and these are for human consumption. And we'll just walk in these, you can just see the huge difference between these and the haricot beans we've just looked at. So these are still very, very green, which is a slight concern, but I knew they'd be very late because we didn't put them in the ground until April the 19th, when they could have gone in the ground in February, or they should have done, but they couldn't because the ground was too wet here. It wasn't quite dry enough underneath. When you look at these, I always thought these are going to be end of September harvesting, but of course this wet weather that we're having at the moment, lack of sun, lack of heat, is not helping these ripen. And we'll just pull, you can just see there straight away the difference in the plant height, and there's the pods down the stem. So you can see huge difference in height. I'll just pull one of these and take it to the truck and show you compared to the other beans. So this is the bean plant I've just picked out this field, the field there, and you can see here these pods, how much bigger they are, and the plant's a lot taller. I've got the other bean plant here from the other field, and these are the haricot beans. You can just see totally different. These are nearly like broad beans the way they're hanging down, but there's the size of the plant next to Frankie. You can see how small and short that one is compared to this one, and these beans are actually shorter than normal if they'd been planted in February. So yeah, big difference in pods. I'll just pull one of those pods off. There's one of the pods of the haricot bean, and then here's one of the pods of the other beans. You can just see here, so much fatter. If I put them in my hand there, look at the difference. So there we have the two different types of bean. You can just see how much bigger those are, and why these conventional beans off this plant yield a lot better. Now there's the haricot beans, just like peas growing in a pod, so much smaller. Obviously they need to grow a lot more yet. They need to grow a lot, and yeah, just makes you wonder when these will be ready for harvest and what they're going to yield, because normally they're ready middle to end of August, but this weather isn't helping. So yeah, that's the difference between a standard bean that will grow. Those go to export, a lot of those go to Egypt, and obviously these hopefully will go into a tin. We've got this trial running with Prince's, the canning people, and Warwick University, and this is the haricot bean plant. You can see quite a lot of pods on there, which is pleasing, but when are they going to be harvested is a complete mystery. Next crop I want to show you is the spring barley, and this is next door field, in between the haricot beans and the other beans. But you can just see here how it's starting to look taffled. It's not looking as good as it was, and this is the weather, the heavy rain. It's starting to put the crop down. I'll just turn the camera around here and just show you that. So this field doesn't look as neat as it did before, and you can see a huge amount of green here. Massive amount of green. Then going into the crop, started to go down. This started to go down a while ago, which is disappointing really, but you can just see now it's very green here, very green in the bottom. And it just depends how long this is going to be before it's come by. It's going to be September without a doubt, and there's one of the ears. You see barley always has the horn sticking out the top, and this is malting barley. It's on a contract for Frontier and Coors Brewery, Molson and Coors at Burton-on-Trent, who make Grolsch, Doom Bar, Carling Lager on some of the ones they do. But yeah, I just don't know when this is going to be. So very late this, because it wasn't planted till end of April, because we couldn't get on the land. Just come back for the last load from turf, and with all the rain we've had, there's a bit of water stood about, but it's on very light sand land. It will soon drain. They're busy cutting this pitch, not quite sure where they're going to with it. Which football club's having it, can't quite remember. So that's got back to the yard with the last load, so we've got ample now to finish the whole job off. There's Barry just preparing it just across there at the other side of the fence. This shed round the corner is nearly full. Got the elevator going now, and Ruben and Tom got the bottom panel in yesterday, and we'll have another one above that hopefully a bit later. So we've got it pushed round the corner there, round the corner there. Got the tubes in ready to put the motors on the top. But what we'll do is we put a load in through the elevator, you can see it running down, then we pull the elevator out, push it up with the Manitou, and then put the elevator back again and keep doing like that till it's full. Not a lot left in this lorry now, 9.4 tonnes, you can see it going down. Lifting the body a bit more. We're just levelling out now the soil around the patio. We've dug off all this other here, so still a fair bit to do. But you can see what we laid the first day, that green's had the rain on it, and this bit nearest to us hasn't. We've got Reuben here in the Manitou now. We've finished all seed rape storage this week, and it's going to rain next couple of days over the weekend, so we won't mind getting a bit of soil on the tyres. Some there and some there. We've now got just 2 lines to do next to the hedge, which is awkward. We can't get the roll-out frame that we've been using across, so we're using the digger like we've done near the house. And we haven't got a lot of room next to the turf. We don't want to scratch the digger next to the hedge because it's a hide digger, Barry's hide it and company hires them from regularly. It's now raining, which it said it was going to do yesterday, so I'm pleased we've only got these 2 lines left to do. And if it rains properly, we can go and get that roll that we got on yesterday and get it rolled without the vibrating on. It's raining properly now, and this is the last run. It's not gone brilliantly. It's only 2 runs that isn't the best, but it'll have to do because this is the last chance we're going to get. Trouble is with the rolls, you can see the yellow. If they're left rolled up for much longer, they won't recover. They've already been rolled up 4 days as it is, and you can see from that first stretch we did there how much greener it is. And not the far bit near the fence, but this middle piece, and that was only put down 3 days ago. So
out of it.
That's it. We'll cut these off when it's dry. We did those yesterday along there. We've got to finish them off properly when we put a fence across here, but we'll cut all those off there, level that hedge end when it's dry. Got it to roll now, and it'll be a good chance with the rain because it'll soften it, and just roll these bumps out because it's not gone down perfect by any means. Back to looking at the crops. Another important one for us is our stewardship areas where we plant crops to feed wildlife and birds and insects. And we'll just have a walk in here because this is quite interesting. So this is one of our stewardship areas. You can just see the rows where the machine, the Elita, put the rows in. They've come really well. There's quite a lot of rubbish and weeds between the row, but I just wanted to show you here, if I can find it, if I haven't lost it, that we have got some slug damage here. And in fact, I just found one and I can't see him anymore, but this shredding of the leaves there, that is slug damage. And I don't know why, they just love these stewardship areas. A lot of broadleaf weeds growing here. Here we go. Here's one of the little blighters. You can see him there on that leaf. Moving, chewing. Look what he's done up that leaf. Chewed that leaf. So this needs some slug pellets on to control him and the others fairly quickly because they can do a lot of damage in a short space of time. Just looking at the crop next to these are oats. This is the problem with these stewardship areas. You can see here some grass weeds come into the crop, but we're only having this down for this 1 year, and then it's going to be pulled up next year, worked properly early, left to clean up. We'll spray it with glyphosate in April, May, and then it'll be planted with another crop that will last 2 years. Anyway, looking at this particular crop, this is spring oats, and these oats will go for pet food. But again, look how green they are. Very, very green. So we're going to be a long while before we get into here with the combine as well. A lot of our spring crops are really late. The field of oats we just looked at was the one that we always compare to our long-term cover crop trial. So that field a minute ago was a standard cultivation system, whereas the field on my right that we'll have a look at is into cover crops and direct drilling. So from here it doesn't look too bad, but earlier in the spring, if you remember, those regular viewers remember looking into this, it was thinner. But this has had an 8-year trial of cover crops and direct drilling, and over the 8 years, this field has returned £183 a hectare, less money than the field in our standard cultivation system. So we'll carry that on at the minute, just see where we are. This is the field that was sugar beet last year. If you remember, it's harvested in December, and then we cultivated this on a frost, and this headland couldn't be cultivated because it was so wet from the damage that the beet harvester did to the land. You can just see this indented area here where Tom nearly got stuck with the drill when he was filling. Can't quite see it now, but I can see it from here. The soil is low and it needs some soil in there. So we'll just get out field on my left, just through there, because that is a really nice piece of winter wheat. So we'll just have a look in this. So this will be one of the first fields that we'll harvest when we get into it, when the weather settles down. And you can see the ears are well necked over. This shows that it's ready, well necked over like that, and all the grains are in here, but they'll be soft at the minute because there's a lot of moisture in them. But you can see no greenness to the straw whatsoever. Straw's all fit and right. So as soon as we get some weather, we'll be into this. And this is a variety called Gleam after spring beans. So just to touch on why we're still growing those other beans you saw when they're still so green and late, it's because of this effect we're getting. Over the last few years we've been growing beans. Every single year we get the best wheat crop after spring beans than we do after any other crop. So we don't just look at the returns from the 1 year, you have to look at it in the combination of your returns from the rotation. So the following wheat crop after beans is cheaper to grow because beans pull nitrogen down from the atmosphere and they release it into the soil, which means the following year we don't need to put so much nitrogen on the wheat crop. And you can see by this wheat crop, it gives us a good wheat. So, and the yields, we're always about a tonne a hectare more yield after spring beans or after beans than we are any other crop. So that's why we drilled those beans late in April when really they ought to be earlier. I just hope we're not going to be combining them in October. Got the roller going now, Barry's on it, rolling the joints and just trying to make it better. Well, that's doing a good job actually. Yeah, levelling it up a tree. Haven't got the vibration on. Just rolling with the weight of the roller, doing it nice and steady. And with the rain we've had this morning, we've had 6 millimetres of rain. It will just put this down a tree. See here, there's 1 or 2 undulations. Maybe you can't see it in the camera. There you can. So rather than turn it on the move and make a mess of the grass, we're lifting it up with the digger and just to move it over a little breed. So that onto the next joint, because it's the joints that seem to be a bit high. Because when the little Kubota was running it down and rolling the rolls out, it was just in the middle. So if anywhere's a bit low, it tends to be in the middle of the joints which are there, and that's the joints that are high. Just getting next to the house path now to make sure it's not stuck up a bit. that was put down on Tuesday, and this was put down only yesterday, and these rolls have been rolled up since Tuesday. That lot was lifted on Monday, this was Tuesday, so just see the difference. It'll be all right. We're rolling it now, you can see, because here, because it was wetter, it hasn't quite gone down as well. A few undulations, but by the time we get it rolled and now it's got the light on it, I'm sure it'll be fine. So I just wanted to show you the rainfall figures that I've been collecting. I've been collecting figures for 27 years, and I've got 1 year missing, 2013, because I had my laptop stolen and it wasn't backed up, and I lost a lot of data from that 1 year, and I really actually could get it. I think if I go to RF Cranwell just up the road, they'll have all that data, so I need to really do that sometime. Anyway, I'll just flick the camera around and just show you the rainfall figures for all those years and why this July we've just had isn't the wettest. So this is the spreadsheet that I keep a record of all the rainfall figures. You can see down here on this figure down there, the average over those 27 years is 586 millimetres. Now, just to look at the figures where we are for the this past year, you can see we're on 105 millimetres here, but we'd have to go back, and if I can do it while I'm recording, let's just zoom that out. We have to go right back to 2007, and you can see there, that is July. We have here 160 millimetres, so May, June and July. So July 160, that is wetter. And then the wettest July we had was in 2002. In the middle of the screen there, we got 191 millimetres in July. That is column 10, or sorry, line 10 is July. So heading across, I just want to now go back to the start, to this year. And what I've just done is here, if you add these up, all those there, if you look at the bottom there, those of you who know Excel knows how it works, we've got 341 millimetres in up to now, up to the end of July this year, with an average of 48.7 per month. But this is the important figure, 341 millimetres. If you look at last year, in that same period, and if I go down and add those up there, 182 millimetres. So for us, January to July, end of July, 182 millimetres last year, 341 this year, so big difference as you can see. And we have to go right back to, I think it was 2016. If I do those figures down to July, which is there, you can see now we have got 392 millimetres for January to July. So 2016. So 2016, the first 7 months was wetter than it is the first 7 months now. But you can just see this first 7 months of 2023 is the wettest 7 months we've had since 2016, so quite a while. But this is just the monthly averages over all those 27 years. So this is the figures that I quite enjoy looking at these and comparing, going back the last 27 years. So that's it for another Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Quite a few things going on. Main thing is we absolutely need some dry weather now, and I hope the weather forecast is better. As they say, we've got some better weather coming towards the end of next week. I hope that's right. We could really do with some. The turf out this window here doesn't, but everything else does. So thanks very much for watching. If you made it this far, please click like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.